The words struck Congresswoman Maxine Waters like a thunderbolt, her face draining of color as Senator John Kennedy's voice cut through the Senate Banking Committee room with surgical precision. Your family profited handsomely from your political influence while you lecture Americans about fairness and accountability. He said, his Louisiana drawl steady, each syllable backed by the weight of official documents he held in his hand. Waters, a titan of Washington's financial policy for over 3 decades, sat frozen, her usual commanding presence unraveling before a national television audience. The woman who had stared down Treasury secretaries and outmaneuvered corporate titans was being dismantled by a senator she had dismissed as a folksy outsider from Louisiana. But how did it come to this? Just 45 minutes earlier, Waters had strode into the hearing room with the confidence of a queen ready to dominate yet another Republican adversary on live television. She had never lost a banking debate, her reputation forged through years of unyielding authority. This was meant to be her moment of triumph, a victory lap to cement her legacy. What she didn't know was that the unassuming senator from Louisiana, sitting quietly in the corner, had spent weeks crafting a constitutional guillotine, and he was about to let it fall. This is the story of how one man's deep understanding of America's founding principles upended decades of accumulated power in less than an hour. How a senator with a dogged commitment to the Constitution exposed the fragility of unchecked authority, and how John Kennedy reminded Washington that no one stands above the law. The Senate Banking Committee hearing was broadcast live on every major network, a stage Waters had requested to crush Republican opposition to her financial regulatory agenda. She scanned the room, her eyes landing on Kennedy's nameplate, a faint smirk crossing her lips. Just another senator, she thought, a man known more for his Southern charm than for challenging the intricacies of banking policy. She had faced down far tougher opponents, Fortune 500 CEOs, Wall Street executives, even presidents. Kennedy, in her mind, was no match for her expertise. But Kennedy had been preparing for weeks, his desk buried under ethics reports, financial disclosures, and constitutional texts. His worn copy of the U.S. Constitution, a constant companion, lay tucked in his jacket pocket, ready to be wielded like a weapon. Waters adjusted her microphone, her posture radiating authority, unaware that the quiet senator was about to unleash an ambush that would shake the foundations of her political empire. Waters leaned forward, her voice sharp and commanding, the tone that had silenced opponents for decades. Senator Kennedy. She began, her words dripping with condescension. I'm genuinely curious what qualifies a senator from Louisiana to lecture this committee on financial regulation. Did your time in law school cover banking policy, or were you too busy chasing folksy anecdotes to understand the real-world complexities of economics? The room stirred a ripple of unease passing through the audience. Waters had thrown down the gauntlet, questioning Kennedy's credentials in front of millions. It was a calculated move designed to put him on the defensive and assert her dominance from the outset. Democratic committee members exchanged approving glances. This was the Maxine Waters they knew, the fierce partisan who could dismantle Republicans with surgical precision. Her reputation as an unyielding advocate for working families had carried her through countless battles, and she expected this one to be no different. But Kennedy's expression didn't falter. If anything, a faint smile played at the corners of his mouth, his eyes glinting with the calm confidence of a man who knew exactly what he was about to do. He reached into his jacket and pulled out his pocket Constitution, its edges worn from years of use, and placed it deliberately on the table. Congresswoman Waters. He said, his voice slow and deliberate, each word carrying the weight of a courtroom argument. That's an interesting question. But let me ask you one in return. What specific constitutional authority gives Congress the power to regulate every corner of American banking? The question landed like a grenade in the silent room. Waters' confident demeanor flickered just for a moment, but the cameras caught it, a fleeting crack in her armor. This wasn't the response she had anticipated. Republicans usually stumbled when she challenged their credentials, offering flustered defenses or weak explanations. Kennedy, however, was turning the tables, his question cutting straight to the heart of her authority. The room went still, the air heavy with anticipation. Waters straightened, her irritation palpable. She wasn't used to being challenged like this, especially not by someone she'd dismissed as a lightweight. "Senator," she snapped, her voice taking on the prosecutorial edge that had made her a legend in Democratic circles, "don't lecture me about constitutional authority. I've been defending the Constitution and protecting American families for over 30 years, while you've been telling stories in Louisiana."